Psalm number 34, beginning with verse 15. I love it. You know, in the second part, he said, taste. But then when he changes the tone, in verse 15 he says, the eyes of the Lord are upon them that fear and love him. And then he says, his ear is open to their cry. That means that at any point when you have tasted and embraced that God into your life, his eyes are upon you. Jesus put it very graphically. He said, his eye is upon the sparrow, and therefore he watches you. Let's be assured, my friends, that God's eye is upon each one of us. And then he says, his ear is attentive. It listens when you pray. But then it doesn't say pray. It says, when the righteous man cries unto the Lord. Friends, let me share with you. There is a difference in the degrees of praying. There are times when we simply talk to God. There are times when we go to bed and we pray while in bed, and before you know it, you are asleep. 10, 15 minutes later, you wake up and remember you are praying and try and connect what you were saying before you went to sleep with what you want to say when you wake up. Easy prayers, nice prayers. There are times when we recite a prayer. But in this passage, the prayer, when the man, the woman, of child of God is in trouble, David changes the word, and he said, the righteous man cries unto the Lord. When did you last get on your knees and cry? I'll tell you, I was a young man in Swaziland back in 1975, pastoring, when Ubaba Nhleko gave me his old Peugeot to take the communion bread to a company that was about 30 miles away. What I did not know was that Ubaba Nhleko, Father Nhleko, had taken the spare wheel out of the car. And so I drive this Peugeot on a Sabbath morning, heading 30 miles away. And 10 miles before I get there, I have a flat, a puncture, back wheel. The people, the saints, are waiting for the communion that I'm bringing. I check for the tire, I check up the car, and I look, and there is no tire spare wheel. There were no cell phones at that time. It was a quiet road. And I knew that there's no way of telling those members that I'm now in trouble. I simply lifted with the jack that car, pulled out the flat wheel and put it on the flatbed. And I looked and I talked to God. I said, Lord, help me here. But nothing. There was no solution to it. That I'll be at that church by 9:30. Nothing. I walked a few steps and I found a rock. I put my elbow on the rock. And for the first time in my life, I cried unto the Lord. And I said, Lord, this communion is your communion for your children. This car is Mr. Nhlego's car, it's not mine. This job that I'm doing this Sabbath morning is not my job, it is your job. Come through for me. I cried. When I walked back to the car, I heard the sound of a big truck. And as the truck came by, I stopped the fellow. And indeed, I could hear his engine decompress as he slowed down. And he looked at me and he said, yes, sir, what do you need? I said, I need a tire for this Peugeot 503. He said, oh, look at that flatbed. And he jumped onto it. And the only item on that truck, 18-wheeler, was a 15-size wheel for a Peugeot. He took it out and he gave it to me. He helped me in. We bolted it in. And before he left, I was ready to go, and he simply said, when you have fixed your tire, leave my tire at the BP garage. I was only 18 years old. I've never forgotten that experience. And when I looked at Psalm number 34, and I've prayed many prayers in my life, but I have learned that there are times in life when we need not only pray to God, say a prayer, whisper a prayer. No, 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 no. There are times when we cry unto the Lord. David was under threat from Abimelech. And instead of simply praying to God, first he pretended to be insane. And then he cried. And then you look at, he says, and your enemies will surround you. Your enemies surround you. But they will not understand why your countenance is so positive. That is why David continues to say, the righteous man will have troubles, but God will deliver him out of all his troubles. Not one bone will be broken. That's my God. That is why today I can say to you, to God be the glory. Great things he has done. I ask you, taste of the Lord. I ask you, talk to the Lord, and his ear will listen. I want to assure you that his eye is on the sparrow, and therefore his eye is on you. Take courage, my friend. Take courage. Your enemies are defeated as long as you remain safe in the palm of his hand. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and give you peace. And you shall put his name in your heart. And not one bone will be broken. Amen.